C2 Wrestling Podcast, CTD and Snowden, episode number 4736. Subscribe or you're a coward and we don't respect you. Just kidding, we love you, but still subscribe. We got plenty to talk about. Plenty. From Monday Night Raw, loaded show, Boston, Massachusetts, John Cena, Intercontinental Championship, Dominik Mysterio, War Games. The last time is now tournament. I've got it on as my cat uses his scratch post going crazy behind me. I've got it on. And the Eagles game on. Sweating bullets. Biting my nails. Dying on every punch in wrestling and every snap in the football game. And I stop and think to myself, I can't talk about any of this until I know how Snowden's doing today.
I am doing all right. It is a late night podcast recording. A little chilly, if you can't tell by the beanie and the hoodie. Getting cold outside. A lot going on in the world of wrestling. Looking forward to the podcast, as we normally do each week. There is a lot to get into this week off the back of Monday Night Raw, leading to Survivor Series, Saturday night's main event. So I'm doing good. We can get right into the action if you want, but how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I was not on the Raw review. Busy with work, Eagles, you name it. You held it down. It feels like, man, I can talk about so much. And obviously, you can talk about wrestling all day. Raw was one of those episodes where when we fire up the podcast, all right, there's one slash two topics that kind of blend together
Yeah,
that obviously have to open the podcast. But
definitely.
you're watching as my cats go at it, and it's like, man, there's a million things to talk about.
Yeah, obviously the biggest news that we got out of Monday Night Raw is that John Cena is Grand Slam champion, wins the Intercontinental Championship. We'll get into that. There's a bit of War Games content to get into as well. But there was a lot of odds and ends just even during Raw that were great this week. It was an excellent episode of Raw, in comparison to the last few weeks, few months. Best episode in a while. SmackDown's been refreshed. So it's good to get that out of Raw. But again, the biggest news is, pretty obvious if you're a wrestling fan. John Cena captures the Intercontinental Championship. And I guess we'll start with that, where I mentioned this in the Raw review. I even briefly mentioned it in my reaction to John Cena winning the Intercontinental title. That, I was calling it for weeks, months at this point. I don't need it. I don't want it. Unnecessary. He doesn't have to win. It doesn't have to be a Grand Slam champion. And if you're going to do it, it should have came months ago. It should have came before he won the championship, the WWE championship. It's a little weird to do it backwards. Gets him the accolade, whatever. You can't complain at John Cena winning a fucking title. Like, I'm not complaining about it in that sense. I still think it's a little like he's got 3 shows left. Like, I don't know if it was worth quite putting it on him. Mentioned it as well. I hope he loses it before Saturday night's main event. If he defends that title in his final match, in his retirement match, the Intercontinental title is infinitely secondary to retiring John Cena. If Gunther or whoever goes out there and beats John Cena, becomes Intercontinental champion, and they hold up that title at the end of the match, it's worthless. You just retired John Cena in his final match. The title kind of means nothing in that moment. You were busy today, might not have seen. I believe I saw something along the lines on Twitter that Netflix was promoting it next week in Madison Square Garden as if John Cena has a match. Some sort of promotional thing went out. So hopefully that's true. I just read it. I didn't see it myself. It could be a nonsense tweet to begin with, but I hope he does. Hope he defends the title. Hope he loses it, if I'm being honest. If not there, at Survivor Series.
Yeah, he's only got 2 more bookings, right? Survivor Series and the final match, right?
I think he's got Raw, Survivor Series, and then the final match. I think it is on next week.
He is? I thought it was Boston Survivor Series than that. So honestly, that's a treat. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Uh, Look, it's one of those things as you're watching it, you kind of got that smile on your face, and it's like, I'm going to enjoy this while it's happening, take a breath, and then give like my proper thoughts. because I'm watching it and I love it. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm like, man, seeing Cena with a title, sure, Grand Slam champion, whether you care about that or don't, like, it still looks cool. The title looks great on him. The match, him and Dom, the crowd is great. Like, you're in it. It's like, I need to take a beat after this because I am enjoying this. I didn't dislike it, but I need to come at it with, like, what is my actual thoughts on this? You know, live in the moment and enjoy it, but then process it and come to my, like, okay, here's what I think. I don't hate it.
Hmm.
In a perfect world, if John Cena's final match, he is a champion, it would have to be when he was the WWE champion.
Absolutely.
And the storyline of him leaving with the championship that they ran with Cody Rhodes and all that. Obviously, we don't live in that world. I don't care how it happens. I do not need the Intercontinental Championship being on the line. I do not want this tournament turning into the winner is also the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship because John Cena is the Intercontinental champion. Like you said, it is so secondary that it genuinely does a disservice to the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Like, truly, that title is so irrelevant for the next stretch because when that person who say they beat John Cena on his final match, when they come out, no one's going to be talking about how they're the Intercontinental Champion. They're going to talk about how they retire John Cena. They beat John Cena in their final match. What did come to my mind, I don't know, maybe this is a hot take. Maybe people like it, maybe they don't. What if we got John Cena wrestling at Survivor Series, not in War Games, and it's a triple threat of John Cena, Dominik Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio? They had that little segment right after Cena wins. Rey's like, he needed to be shut up anyway, blah, blah, blah. Dom shouldn't just take the high road. Dom should be on next week screaming for a rematch. You can even have that match and Rey can pin Dom, Dom can pin Rey, anything along those lines. Cena doesn't even get pinned. The title's got to come off Cena somehow, some way. And I don't see them having him lose right before his final match, especially with how he lost to Brock. Like, feel like he's going to be unpinned until this final match. It just, I guess it makes it more interesting. Like, it's like, all right, the
Mhm.
opportunities they're a little bit, broader, but man, I do not like if he goes in as Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, I'm not a fan at all of him going into that final match, Intercontinental Champion. I don't mind the idea of a triple threat, Ray, Dom, Cena. The match on Raw with Dom was not the most electric Cena match, not the most electric Dom match we've ever gotten, but it's still a great rub for Dom, even though he lost and lost the title. That's an all-time moment. People are going to remember that. Crowd was going crazy. I was going to pose the question. You have two shows then, Monday Night Raw and Survivor Series, for John Cena to lose the Intercontinental title. Who does he lose it to? Could just flip it back to Dirty Dom. Maybe Ray does pick up the sneaky win in that triple threat. The other name that came to mind for me, which I do like the idea of Cena and Dom kind of running it back, having a more so full blown match, but Finn Balor. What if Finn Balor squeezes his way into getting a title shot? He ultimately brings the IC title back to the Judgment Day. Now he's Intercontinental Champion. There's tension there with Dom and Finn. Dom is jealous because it's his belt in his mind, adds more of a layer to Judgment Day. Gets the belt off Cena, two birds, one stone in a sense. Um, there's only a few other names in reality that I feel like could be the guy to take the IC title. War Games happening takes a couple of those names away too. With the idea that Braun Breaker is probably our future world champion, I would love Bronson Reed to take that IC title off of Cena, but he's in War Games, so it's not going to happen in Survivor Series. And then I don't know if it just happens randomly on Raw next week either. I think there's only a couple names that it's really even possible to take this IC title from John before Survivor Series. or before Saturday night's main event, rather.
Yeah, and the tournament also, if they're in the tournament, obviously it
They're not
would
going to
only
face him.
get him in the finals. They're not going to face him beforehand. Like, Sheamus comes to mind. Shouldn't face him at Survivor Series if he's still in the tournament because he's obviously in the tournament. What also is interesting with Survivor Series, there's been the rumors that Cena's going to be in War Games. When he saw Ray, he also sees Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes immediately in the night ends up going out and helping CM Punk and Jey Uso, clearly involving himself into the War Games match that will inevitably happen. My fear was that little moment of the Cody handshake with Cena is the seed of Cena is going to be in the War Games match, which that's not an issue. My issue would be him in the War Games match as the Intercontinental Champion, because now you're also talking about a month of the Intercontinental title just not being on, really.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The idea on paper, though, of it being, Vision, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul with Brock Lesnar and whoever else versus Punk, Jay, Cody, Cena. Cena gets a little payback on Brock, and then you add in the LA or the Jimmy
Would probably be
or
Roman.
Roman. Yeah, imagining it's Roman. Um, if Cena's in it, it's definitely Roman. If Cena's not in it, then LA or Jay probably take that fifth slot. On the flip side, I would love to see now that Cody Rhodes is just randomly involved in this. It kind of makes no sense. But if he is, you might as well add a little bit of sense to it and throw Aleister Black on that other team. Drew is suspended. It doesn't seem likely to be Drew unless they bring him back in 2 weeks or whatever. It's a 1 week suspension. But with Drew out, throw Aleister Black on that team. A lot of rumors still circulating about theory, but that's maybe even wishful thinking. John Cena in War Games is great. I don't mind that at all. With the Intercontinental Championship is dumb. Makes no sense. At that point, with the idea of him either holding it until Saturday Night's main event or fighting at War Games with it, like any combination of those things, I would have rather him just not won it. I'm still on that boat of like, great moment, all time moment. People are always going to remember it, but wasn't necessary. Definitely didn't need to do it. Does feel secondary in and of itself, being that he had his 17th world title run, in this final run. His last title ever is the Intercontinental Championship. It should have been that 17th world championship. I feel like this is one where, as little credibility that like the Twitter circle really has, I do think they often are more so listening to that crowd in the arena than the reactions online. But I think this is one where like the people got to him and they booked it. People were calling for Cena to get that Grand Slam moniker, so they went with it and they gave him the IC title.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because they very well might just flip it back to Dom
Hmm.
because no one in the crowd wants Dom to lose the Intercontinental Championship. In
Yeah,
Boston, obviously, Cena is going to get the massive reaction, of course. But every city loves Dom and wants Dom as the Intercontinental Champion, even though he's a heel. So it's like kind of a funny thing that you mentioned. Like, I mean, even people on Twitter obviously love Dom, not as much as the in arena crowd loves Dom or has the reactions to Dom. If Cena is in War Games, they should just change the branding to like War Games All Stars.
yeah, because you have the both world champions, current world champions. You'll have the only 17-time world champion, and then you got Roman Reigns, the greatest world champion of all time, on the team. Like that. In what world would they lose? It could be Braun, Bronson, Brock. It could be an all-star team on that other side. But this does seem like we're leading into the most predictable War Games match. And the other War Games matches have been good, great even, but they've been pretty predictable. So it's crazy that we're getting an even more predictable one.
Yeah, and obviously this one is in the baseball stadium, Petco Park, so they want it as crazy as possible, the big names on there, which I get. I already know if Cena and Roman are the final two people, I may as well make the meme for the people on Twitter. They're going to take that dragon meme and they're going to duplicate it, and it's going to be the four crazy dragons, and they're going to be looking over, and it's going to be Jey Uso because people online just fucking hate Jey for just the dumbest fucking reasons.
Bottom 10 merch seller, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
yeah, the guy they're going crazy over in the top 10 too. A
Yeah.
guy who I like, but is also just fucking like Jey Uso. People don't want to. That's why I like
Yeah.
Jay. Same reason I like the other guy. But people.
It's crazy. Listen, like I understand like at face value, there's a difference in the legacy of John Cena and CM Punk comparative to Jey Uso. But Jey Uso's kind of the now. It is an all-star team. It's an absolute all-star War Games matchup. Uh, it's exhibition. It's very exhibition. It is what it is. The women's War Games also is very exhibition. I'm more interested in the matches outside of the War Games for Survivor Series. Again, a potential Intercontinental title match, wherever that belt may go. Tag titles, Dragon Lee and Styles are still kind of floating around. I'm more interested in those than I even am the War Games match itself with this all-star lineup. The last few months, and we called this. I mean, it's not hard to call. Like we've been saying this for a while. We usually say it every time around this time of year. But it's such a weird lull period for wrestling where it's a Saudi show or something like that. For this time around, it was in Perth, Crown Jewel, but Crown Jewel where nothing's really happening. Survivor Series, it's like brand warfare if you still want to look at it that way. Saturday night's main events have not been that electric, and then it's a month and a half till the Rumble where things finally start to get in motion. But it's a good 3 months of like just exhibition stuff, nothing really going on. If it wasn't for Cena retiring, yeah, oh my God, we'd really have like nothing going on right now. Nothing going on.
Well, Raw was good, and they need to. SmackDown needs to be as good as Raw was. This past SmackDown was not well received,
Yeah.
as we know. I'm glad you said the word exhibition because I do want to talk about the Cena tournament, which has plenty of stakes and matchups that have happened. I know, sorry, I said stakes.
Mistake.
But Cena's final night, we now know about some exhibition matches where John Cena, as my cat goes flying, John Cena apparently, as true as can be, personally requested this to be the thing. It was one of the things we talked about. John Cena's final show. It can be a one match card. You don't need anything else. But per Cena's request, it will be exhibition matches of main roster talent versus NXT talent, which I love. That's awesome. Give them, give some names the moment. Like that is great. What it does do is first off, it gives two jabronis like us plenty of shit to talk about in fantasy
Yeah.
book. But what it also does is it makes me look at some of the people that are either already in the tournament or rumored to be in the tournament or could potentially be in the tournament. And I immediately go, well, they ain't winning it now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of dream matchups we can really get out of these exhibitions at the Saturday Night's main event. I said it during the Raw review. I still predict it to be like a 4 match card. Cena's match, probably a women's match, and then 2 men's matches. I don't know if they go anything more extreme than 4 matches. It is on Peacock or whatever. There's no time restraint, but still a Saturday Night's main event. Kind of still fits the mold. In between 4 matches, it's going to be John Cena package galore.
As it
So
should be.
as it absolutely fucking should be. So there's only so much time, I guess, with the discussion of those matches, and there being some NXT names in the tournament. Javon Evans takes on Gunther next week in MSG. That's a fucking hell of a rub, and let alone it being a great rub for Javon Evans. Our boy Gunther is back, baby. And I gotta say real quick, I have a whole other thing to get into. I'm seeing today on Twitter Gunther hate. People don't want Gunther to win this tournament. People are shitting on Gunther. Get the fuck out of here. I'll go on all day about that. But The matches itself, Javon Evans again faces Gunther. He's not going to have the match at Saturday night's main event, most likely. I don't know who it's going to be. I imagine the champions, honestly. Like Ricky Saints will get a match against somebody. Maybe we get the North American champion in there somewhere, Ethan Page. Maybe Blake Monroe gets a match. I don't know exactly, Tatum Paxley. But if you had to book a couple matches, what are the exhibitions?
I think Javon might be on this.
I,
I would be.
yeah, I would.
I
I'm
think
not
it'd be a
saying
mistake if he wasn't.
I'm not saying no to it, but he's already getting that rub by being in the tournament. So I can see them being okay with leaving him off for that reason. But Gold Rush for NXT, we do get Javon Evans teaming up with Leon Slater to take on goofy ass Dark State, as Javon Evans put it, which is ah, love you, Javon. Uh, I would fucking love it if they win the tag titles and then maybe it's champions versus champions. Maybe they take on Dragon Lee and Styles or something. That would be, I mean, you look at the Leon Slater Styles connection there too. Not that Leon Slater is full blown NXT, but still it's upcoming talent. That would be special. Wouldn't hate that at all. But if there's any name they leave off, it might be Javon because he's getting the rub already.
Yeah, I think it'd just be a mistake. Like I think he is, even though he's already getting the rub, like he should be in this spot. Like he is up there. I think they may still end up doing 5 matches.
Yeah, five, it's not
I
unreasonable,
I
but
think it's gonna be a long fucking show if I'm being honest. Um, because my gut tells me we get one women's match, at least one women's singles match, at least one men's singles match, and at least one multi-person match, whether that's a normal tag team, a six-man tag, a 4-on-4, I don't know. But I do think they may shoehorn a match like as we've seen with like NXT, AAA, whatever, where it's kind of like a weird combo of people. I could see somehow it's a six-man tag where it's Team NXT of Javon Evans, I don't know, Ricky Saints, and someone else, and 3 people from the main roster, just to get those 3 on and just to get the other 3 on, because they've straight up called it exhibition. Like you don't need a
story at all.
reason
Yeah.
for any of these. It's like it doesn't have to be like, oh, this person's the champion, they have to be on, or like, oh, you can't have this person on and not have this person on. Like I think you can really just kind of do whatever the fuck you want. If anything, this is like the most 2K thing ever.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's a bunch of names. There, main roster. There's a billion names of people I can pull that I would like to see face some NXT talent. NXT talent. There's a couple names that I would prefer be on the show. Even though they are just exhibitions, I would rather them be like more so meaningful matches. Like I don't need like a 5-on-5 tag how they would do it, back in the day. I'd rather it be one-on-ones, maybe a tag team match here or there. There is a glaring name that is not in the tournament yet. I I'm going to say yet again because he very well may be. If he's not, he probably gets a match at Saturday Night's main event. But Obafemi still has not been quite in the mix yet. Before we started this podcast, you said you wanted to bring something up about Obafemi. So I'm going to let you get into that.
Yeah, I watched Raw and I left it saying there's no fucking way Obafemi's winning this tournament. Like which like again, when I go back to, I didn't think he will. Not that he couldn't or that he shouldn't. I didn't think they would do it. And this to me was like the most. I'd be stunned if Oba doesn't have a match on this card. I'd be stunned if Oba doesn't be the one from NXT to beat a main roster person on this card. But this is the spot for Oba where it's you're not the overwhelming pressure of being John Cena's last match, but you were the co-main event and you either beat some main eventer or you went toe to toe with LA Knight and were that close to beating him, whatever. Like you are right there. You are made day one, but it's not the pressure of, on top of it, if it's for the Intercontinental Championship, you're now the Intercontinental Champion and you beat John Cena and you retired him. I watched it and I was like, this is how they give Oba the rub without having him face Cena. I would be stunned if this wasn't the route. Shit, I'd be shocked if they didn't look at John Cena's final show. John Cena brings this up and they go, perfect, because we wanted this guy to get something from you and we didn't want it to be your final match, but this is the way that he benefits from this.
I mean, Oba's going to be involved one way or another, tournament or it's our next main event. I still think he's second in line to win this tournament, third in line maybe. Outside of Gunther, it's there might be a gap in between one and two, but who does Gunther even get in the finals at this point? I think Jey Uso is very well a contender to get into the finals, but I don't think they're going to run back Gunther versus Jey Uso. So if Gunther's going to get up in the finals of this tournament, it's not going to be against Shinsuke Nakamura, if we're being honest.
Well, he already lost.
Yeah, he already lost, but exactly, it could be Sheamus. It's going to be a bigger name out of a few people in this tournament. Who do you think it's going to be?
Gunther's beating LA Knight in the finals, and they're gonna be crying online.
Yeah,
It's
people are going to
good.
be crying one
They're
way or
gonna
another.
be
Yeah.
crying online. Jey Uso beating the Miz, so that
Hmm.
puts him in what, the quarterfinals, or
Yeah,
no,
I guess.
uh,
I mean, I
16
hope the
man,
finals
eight
is
man.
at
So yeah,
Survivor
quarter.
Series. But the final better be at Survivor Series. That's a
Yeah,
big enough match that it should be at the PLE itself. Um, Back to the Oba point though, Oba absolutely is involved somewhere. He did return to NXT, so he's getting one little final run in there, one little send off match, put somebody over, I'm sure. But then he's coming up full time on the main roster, I'm sure. He still, again, is in contention, I do really think, but once we all already knew Gunther was going to be in this tournament, and he's already the leading candidate. Once they run that package on Monday Night Raw and they announce that Gunther gets this match, he's officially pulled out of the tumbler. Gunther's winning the fucking tournament. There just can't be another name. I mean, there's really not. There's really not. I understand the idea in Gunther's a little bit older than some of these young cats, and Cena's whole thing has been putting over the young guys, getting the young guys some sort of rub. That's what kind of pushes me towards the idea of Oba not happening, but being a good opportunity. But Gunther is just undeniable. Gunther's the guy. I've been calling it for ages too. Been saying this all fucking year. He was world champion, loses the title, sure, whatever. Fucking retires Goldberg, retires John Cena. Been calling it for ages now that Gunther's going to do this, and it's almost time.
I mean, this is the Gunther Stan account,
Yes.
and one day he will be on this account, and we will give him said flowers. We have been day one for this guy, where genuinely, don't get me wrong, I love Oba, I love LA Knight, I love Sheamus, I love plenty of these guys. The Miz. I'd be mad if Gunther doesn't win this tournament. I genuinely, this should be him.
It
This
should be.
is
There
this was made for him.
Yeah, absolutely. The timing just works out too. Again, and that's kind of to my point too, is Gunther in this tournament. The only person that Gunther could lose to in this tournament to me would be an upcoming beast in Oba Femi. I love LA Knight, but I would not accept LA Knight beating Gunther in the fucking semifinals of this tournament or whatever. Doesn't add up to me. On top of what I've been saying for a while is that Gunther is going to go on to beat John Cena. Lock him in for the Rumble at that point. If he retires Cena, he's winning the Rumble. Gunther Cody at Mania, perhaps. Gunther Brock is still an option. Brock could squeeze his way into a title run before WrestleMania. But I think off the back of retiring John Cena a month before the Rumble, why would Gunther not want a spot in the Rumble? Why would he not win it? The only reason being would be that he's demanding a championship match at the Rumble itself, which is plausible. But whoever beats Cena is getting the mega push afterwards, and it's easy for a guy like Gunther.
I mean, he very well could get eliminated by Brock in the Rumble. He could
Yeah,
have 8 eliminations and then Brock gets him, after Gunther's been in for 25 minutes, whatever. I could see that being the path. It is tough because you have Cena, the Mega Babyface champion, Punk, currently Mega Babyface, currently champion. Is Punk going into Mania as champion? I don't know. Then you start looking at the potential matchups. Like, it feels like Cody Randy is the big one, but did they do that before Mania? Did they do that at Mania? You know, Punk obviously has Braun Breaker at some point, Logan Paul. You still have Punk Roman that you probably have to do. I don't not see Gunther winning the title, but there's going to be a lot going on. And what is the next big thing, pun intended, if he's not going for the title after retiring John Cena? It's going into a feud with Brock Lesnar and then eventually retiring Brock Lesnar. Like
Yeah.
that is the way. And then you start getting past SummerSlam and now Gunther is the champion again or something along those lines. I know there's two mystery spots. I have a gut feeling those mystery spots are not going to be for NXT people,
No.
especially since Javon Evans was just straight up announced. I think if Oba was in it, they would have just announced him. I don't think he would be a surprise entrant.
Yeah.
Uh,
They still have a couple announcements to go, right?
there's still two more
Two more,
matches,
right? Yeah.
and we know there's two surprises. One will get Friday, the next one will get Monday. My gut tells me Friday we get Joe Hendry, Monday we get Matt
Cardona.
Cardona.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my
Hendry and
gut.
Cardona. Yeah. Those might be the only, maybe the last match might have one more
Yeah,
surprise.
maybe.
Um, I think this is more a Rumble return, but I don't think we can rule out fucking Jericho from being in this tournament, if I'm being honest. It's really not impossible.
Happy
But
birthday.
happy birthday. Rumble's also in Saudi, though. So, like, I don't, Rumble's in Saudi. That's even more reason because,
I know.
Saudi's like,
Just-
fucking Jericho? Y2J?
yeah.
Yeah, he's alive. Yeah, put him
He's
in. Yeah,
he's
yeah,
breaking the walls down?
yeah.
Where's he been?
Yeah, just make sure he comes in after Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe more plausible.
The Lion Heart? The
Yeah,
Lion
yeah,
Tamer?
yeah. I do think we maybe get one more surprise out of it. Hendry and Cardona seem like the reasonable surprises, though. Either of them win their matches, possibly. LA Knight probably moves on. Don't get me wrong.
I can
Beats
see
a
Solo losing.
Yeah, beats a Joe Hendry, but then I can see Solo taking a loss to a Cardona to get that New York pop, and then Cardona gets beat by fucking Rusev or whatever the following week, whatever. Or Zack Ryder. It depends how they want to introduce him. Or we're both wrong, and it's a fucking new iteration of Doink the Clown is going to come out or something. I have no idea. But it seems pretty reasonable for those two to be the surprise names. And then, like you said, NXT names. If there is probably one more NXT name, likely being Obafemi, if anybody, getting announced prior.
Yeah, and Solo's easier to lose not only because he's a heel and people won't bitch like they will if LA Knight loses, but also he's in a feud with like 97 people right now. So you can really pick any of them. I wouldn't be shocked if on SmackDown, Sammy did something again to Solo, or sorry, Solo did something to kind of get back at Sammy, Ray Phoenix, the Guns, whatever. And on Raw in the Garden, one of them or multiple of them kind of costs Solo, and it helps advance whatever match they're building towards in that
You know,
multi-person Survivor Series match as well.
I do got to say on that point, I love the idea of every match in this tournament being clean. No
Me too.
interferences, no DQs, no fake, trying to get counted out. Like, I want it to just be straight up victories, one way or another. So I'm kind of like anti MFT coming out and helping Solo or Sammy coming out and screwing Solo, any which way you look at it in any of these matches. I think in hindsight, we'll look back at the tournament as like one of the greatest tournaments they ever done if it pans out that route with Gunther winning and retiring John Cena, of course. But, that's besides the point.
Yeah, I do agree. Or they just make it all triple threats. Uh,
Yeah.
I agree, but I just, you know how the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah, of
players on
course.
the
Yeah, I'm
podcast.
surprised fucking Rusev didn't cheat or something, like
Yeah,
whatever
or
already.
fucking Aleister Black get involved in Damian
Yeah,
Priest's match,
exactly.
like
Yeah, yeah.
any stuff like that. But we do have two more matches to be announced. It does make things kind of interesting though, because now the NXT names, I could see another NXT name possibly. You're probably not going to get Dom in this tournament. You already know people that aren't going to be in. The field kind of really thins here for those final four spots. You have Drew suspended, so he's probably not one of the four. You start thinking to yourself, like, all right, some of the champions probably not in it. Who sticks out as like someone who's going to be in one of those
If
final four spots?
if healthy, the returning Jacob Fatu, but we don't know where he's at. You know,
Yeah.
maybe he gets one of those final matches. If there is another NXT name outside of Obafemi, Ethan Page or Ricky, you know, I mean, it ain't gonna be Hank or Tank, you know. I mean, like it's got to be one of those bigger NXT names. Randy Orton already ran it back with Cena. I don't expect Orton to get in there. You know, when they announced Miz. Uh,
I do think Carmelo is going to be in one of the matches.
I was just gonna say Carmelo comes up, obviously. Ilya comes up with possibility, but he's just got more going on. So like I don't like I fucking love Ilya, but like don't know if I need that necessarily. I'd rather give that slot to Carmelo. Hell, this might be your chance to like really Carmelo doesn't need to win the tournament, but really give Carmelo the rub and you can push him all the fucking way. That would be like a nobody expects the finals to be Gunther versus Carmelo, and Carmelo ain't taking any fucking, you know, heat by getting a loss against Gunther. Like that's only going to propel him. But Carmelo, Fatu, Oba. I don't know if there'll be another NXT name outside of Oba and Javon, and it is thin. It's tough to kind of pick that last guy or two.
I do have one name that I don't think will be in, and I know some people would probably be like, "Well, that's the name you're going with." If I had the choice, if Triple H texted me, "Hey, on the roster right now, main roster, I'm letting you pick one guy for these final four spots." He probably won't even win the tournament, but who's one guy that you are forcing into this tournament? Be realistic. Can't be anyone hurt. Can't be anyone obviously with like a clear story. You're not just throwing Punk in, whatever. Like, be realistic. You know what name comes to my mind?
That
Because I know you'll agree with me. I would love if Grayson Waller was one of those guys.
yeah, me too. Absolutely. Grayson Waller is fucking one of like the better guys in the
He,
company right now.
he's just so perfect for
He
this.
does not get enough love. Grayson Waller is so fucking good all the way around. Look, ability, charisma on the mic. Even if he wins or loses the first round, he would be a great name to just kind of squeeze in there. They do need, listen, there's a reason Shinsuke was in it because you need guys that are, you need the fall guy, you know, a couple times around. So Grayson Waller, you know, isn't going to win the tournament, but would be a great fall guy. Um, it really is tough to name anybody else. Again, Aleister Black has got other things going on. If I didn't mention it, Aleister Black, I think, should be added into the War Games match
You
opposite of
did, yeah.
Cody. It did okay, yeah. Like I don't know, he's just got other shit going on too. Outside of that, he'd be a great name, but I would lock in Carmelo and Fatu if Fatu is healthy. But Carmelo for sure, I'd say is in. Oba is probably in if not for the exhibition matches, but they are gonna put one more NXT name in there. There's no way they announced that as NXT names are included, then only one NXT name gets the shot.
Well, if Hendry's the
Or
surprise, he
Trick,
could
Trick maybe.
trick. Yeah. I mean, it would make sense. Um, you also got to assume one of these guys got to win, like their first,
Yeah, one
at
surprise
least their,
match or something. Yeah,
like when you start looking at it, lumping them together, you have the two surprise people, Javon, and potentially one last either NXT or surprise person, or possibly both, because this past week on Raw, we got one NXT, one surprise for the next batch of matches. One of them has to move on. I'm not saying like it has to be your winner on there.
it ain't gonna be Javon either. So
That's my thing.
yeah,
I'd be stunned if Javon beat Gunther. I mean, look, if he fucking beat Gunther, then it's like, oh my God, who is winning this tournament? Like
yeah.
anyone can win this right now. I don't think that's happening. So, granted, before that match happens, we'll know the result of one of the surprise people and potentially the second if he has his match after the second surprise person. I think he doesn't have the greatest odds at winning his first round match. I think the surprise person who's facing LA Knight does not have great odds at winning as well. So immediately I'm like the surprise person who faces Solo, or it's one of these last two matches to get announced, but one of them has to win. You can't just make it like
Mhm.
you had all these surprise spots and like it was literally just to give wins for your other people.
Yeah, yeah. There's got to be one surprise or NXT win in the first round at least, somewhere in there. Very wishful thinking, but when it comes to surprise names, I would love if like Baron Corbin returned or something, like just something so out of the box. It seems like the surprise names are obvious. The NXT names, again, the men down in NXT aren't bad by any means, most of them, but there's only a few like it would be Oba, Trick, Hendry, Ricky, me, like Javon, obviously. There's only so many names it would really be. Um, I don't think they're, I mean, they mentioned the like not in the company names, and that probably is for a guy like Joe Hendry. Maybe that's one of the other surprises is like a not even in WWE by technicality name. I mentioned a few weeks ago, Santana is like a fucking random, would be great. Jeff Hardy could fall in the mix somewhere. That would be another great one. Um, I don't
Jeff
know
Hardy
though.
fans would love that.
Yeah, yeah, there is, it's intriguing. Four competitors left, one surprise, one NXT maybe, two main roster names come out of that. Carmelo and Waller Fatu. I don't know. The main roster name could be fucking anybody.
Yeah, and like the main roster people, you also
Fucking Kofi or
as
something.
as we talk about it, like two of these people have to lose.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously you have to put in people. We love Knock, but they put Knock in that spot so he can lose. Like they
Fall
did not.
guy.
It was not in. He was not in that match where it's
A
like,
pinfall guy.
yeah, Knock's in it because he might win. Like no, they've set him up for he's gonna be one to eat the pin.
Edge.
Christian,
Yes.
Big Show, Paul White, Halloween.
Shout
Uh,
out.
yeah, I I mean, look, Ilya is the most interesting part of SmackDown and has been with or I should say, the U.S. Open Challenge. But this week, surprise entrant. I mean, dude, if fucking Jeff Hardy's music hits or some shit, I'm popping. I don't think it's gonna be, but I'm on the edge of my seat for who this surprise person is. Hell, I'm on the edge of my seat when we just get announced the last two matches. They show Nick Aldis in that video package and they're fucking doing the tumbler. Like that to me, man, that's got me fucking juiced. Like I'm like, oh man, I can't get. And on top of it, like, oh, maybe we get the bracket at that point because we know the final two matches. And, then it just shows like Solo versus question mark. I don't know. So Cena and pretty much the Cena sphere, I should call it. Cena's the nucleus, and then it branches the Intercontinental Championship, the NXT exhibition matches, the Cena tournament, Cena's
War
last
games.
few Cena's last few appearances, Survivor Series, War Games question mark. He's the nucleus of what's interesting right now.
Yeah.
Like he is, I don't want to say like thank God he's retiring, but if he wasn't, it would
Nothing.
man,
It'd
we'd
be
be in for quite a weird time.
Yeah, I mean, again, maybe they would figure something explosive out without the Cena retirement because they have to at that point. But it is tough. Also has a lot of other things going on, but it is crazy that we're like totally dismissing Braun Breaker from being in this tournament or having potential of being in the tournament. Has a lot of other shit going on, but that's the one, two, three in whatever order you want to put it. Oba, Gunther, Braun Breaker of people that should or would win this tournament. But Braun Breaker on to other things right now. So, it doesn't seem like he's going to be the name to go with. Uh, War Games again coming around. Cena in that, the IC title. He really is the center of WWE right now. I do expect him to show up on like the Raw after Saturday Night's main event in a suit and a tie. But after that, no more Cena, man.
Well,
Crazy.
Hall of Fame would be.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to get inducted this year. I think they're
I
going to
don't I
wait.
don't think so either, but I think that'll be the next time we see him after his final
Yeah,
match.
yeah, like he'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah, or like when he gets inducted, like that'll be
Yeah,
his
yeah,
next. I'm glad you mentioned Braun Breaker because Jey Uso is in this tournament. So you very well can have Braun Breaker also be in this tournament. You can have
hmm
Braun Breaker fucking win the tournament. It would be stunning if Braun Breaker and John Cena don't even cross paths once in Cena's last few shows when they're literally teasing fucking putting the world title on Braun Breaker and him being like legit the next guy. You're telling me him and Cena aren't going to cross paths once? Like it's crazy to say this, but is he actually a dark horse to win this all? Like
yeah,
he's got to have something, whether it's War Games and they mix it up then, or he's in the tournament, or next week on Raw. Braun just fucking bumps shoulders with him and tells him like, "You're old. You're as old as Punk, and I'm gonna break Punk." Like I don't know. It would be like mind blowing if they don't even cross paths. Like
yeah,
that would be one where Cena finishes, and they look back and go, "How did we fuck that up? How'd they
yeah.
not do anything?"
It's the new like Triple H and Rey Mysterio. Like, like how did they never face?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's an opportunity with War Games to have that happen where you don't have to have the actual match. Again, there's been a lot of mistakes during this Cena run that are it's kind of sad to think back to. And if I'm being honest, when you think back to those first 6 months and how they just really butchered it all, like what we could have gotten to what we did get. But this is maybe wishful thinking, but there is like a couple birds you can kill with one stone by putting Cena in War Games. And I kind of love the idea. I don't know if Cena could do this. It's a long match, but you get the Vision guys out. They're in their cage. Braun Breaker heads to the ring. He's starting the match. Whoever's starting the match, whatever. The other team, Team CM Punk or whatever, comes out, and I don't know. Fucking Jay's about to walk to the ring, and Cena stops him. Cena's first guy in the match. So he gets to go one on one a little bit with whoever's in there. He gets a couple licks with everybody in the match. Typically, the last person in War Games is in the match for 5 minutes and then the match ends, So I hope that's not Cena if he is in War Games, but that might be your opportunity to get Braun and Cena, Cena and Bronson Reed, a little bit of more of Cena Logan, Cena Theory again, or whoever the fuck else is in that match, without having a straight up one on one match with Cena.
you know what we should call that last spot? Call that the Brock spot.
The Brock spot.
Yeah,
Well, Vision, yeah, three of the guys in the Vision with Logan Paul, and then Brock's like number four. He's like locked into me at this point, if I'm being honest.
no, no,
Maybe
no.
I'm
I'm
wrong.
talking about in the
Oh, in
actual
the War
matches,
Games, yeah,
like when it's like, oh, the last
yeah,
person was like,
Brock is
that's the Brock spot.
yeah, Brock is last, yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
He's last if he comes in. Roman probably last on the other side,
yeah.
which is all fine and dandy, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But Cena, I don't want Cena being last. I don't even want him being second. Cena, it's your last go at this, but I get you might be hurt. And he also looked fucking great on Raw.
I swear
Dude,
to God,
fucking best Cena's looked. Like, dude, he was ripped.
give
He
me my
always
brain
has been,
back.
but like, yeah,
I was going to say, before we move on,
yeah, yeah.
I need to mention, dude, there was some points, like, especially when he won the match,
hmm
I'm like, good fucking Lord, John.
Might be the most shredded he's ever been. Like the
I,
most cut he's ever been. Like,
dude, it's almost sad that you have Cena and Styles and they're like they want to go out on their own terms and like I respect that and they know in wrestling people overwelcome their stay
I'm gonna cry
plenty
talking about this.
and it's like you watch them both and you're like you both look better than ever,
Yeah,
you both haven't lost a step. I know you say like you've lost a step and I'm sure like
they feel it a bit
physically
more.
and
Yeah,
yeah and like in your matches you're like oh man I used to be a little quicker in this spot whatever, but visually as a fan it's like man, it's like these guys haven't fucking aged a day. They look great. So it is upsetting when it's like, Cena's done after like two more. And I don't know, maybe it's because we never saw Ric Flair not have a gut. And like those final days of Ric Flair, it was like,
yeah,
come on, Rick.
yeah.
Like, you're
If
looking
the
like Mr. Krabs without the shell on. Like,
I've
let's hang it up.
I've thought about this too. Like, they show all these kids in the crowd nowadays that are 7 years old. Like 8 years old, and they're wearing all the Cena merch. The Belgium kid, all these kids, whatever. Like, Is Cena, does Cena look like to them what Flair looked like to us? You know what I
No.
mean? Because Flair, as early as I can remember, was 75 years old. You know what I mean? Like has just always had that look to him. But guys like Cena, Styles, Orton, these guys are looking better than ever. It's going to be a crazy next couple of years where, even past the guys like Cena, Styles, Orton, like Cody's even said his next contract's his last. Like LA Knight
Which, I
is
mean,
getting
we're
there,
talking like 6 or 7 years.
Sure, yeah, but like we're gonna get, another couple of years of these guys, and then we're really on to like the Braun Breakers, the Carmelos, the Bronsons, like the real fresh names that we are really in like a generation shift right now of like, we've had it in the past, don't get me wrong, but like we're really losing out. Rey Mysterio's going soon, like gonna be the end for a lot of people. But Cena though looked great. Point being, you can do an hour in the game, Cena. You can give us that.
Yeah.
You spend 6 months not doing much during this first little bit. You can give us an hour in War Games.
So to pivot, a match that will probably happen on Survivor Series, as we've talked about the card. Seems we're getting some sort of multi-person match with MFT and Sammy and Co. Maybe the Wyatt Six, whatever. There's gonna be some multi-person match there. We know we have the women's War Games official from the end of Monday Night Raw. The men's War Games on the horizon. What's seeming like it could be another match, and probably look, if we got to power rank it, like it's Cena and everything Cena did, it's only a hair under the next biggest thing that happened on Raw.
It is so irrelevant to what's going on in the world of wrestling right now. Actually, like negatively affecting the other things going on in the world of wrestling right now. It's incredibly irrelevant.
And
Stephanie
that is
McCare is a great champion, sure. Stephanie McCare versus Nikki Bella. Give me my pajamas, I
come
just
on, man. We got the heel turn, duped everybody. They thought it was gonna be, tag match and then friendly one-on-one. No, sorry,
Hey,
Bob.
hey, didn't dupe me. I called that shit like 2 weeks ago. I saw that shit coming. There was a promo a week or two ago from Nikki that was like, oh, this bitch turning heel. She's turning heel.
You take
Yeah.
that back.
In a good way. I say it in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is like, God, I don't fucking need it in the slightest right now. I get it. Like, it's a good name for Stephanie to get a win over. Nikki has not been that impressive in this little run back.
I
Maybe
love it.
Stephanie can help a little bit, sure. But when I look at the nucleus, John Cena, and all those branches coming off of John Cena, not one of them leads to the Nikki Bella matchup.
No, honestly, like I think this is a good holdover for Stephanie. Because
I mean, I think they
first
don't
of all,
have anything for Stephanie because Stephanie was never supposed to be champion right now to begin with. It was Naomi. If Naomi didn't,
100%,
yeah,
it's a great name for Stephanie. Look, I know Nikki is not on some winning streak right now, but WWE does not give a fuck about wins and losses.
no,
Like they do not. Like you
yeah,
can
none of the
lose.
other companies do too. So,
Yeah, no, guess what? In wrestling, they never have.
why do you think all other companies stopped tracking wins and losses?
Yeah,
Like it's just
yeah. Like there's plenty of people that they can just get a match. Just I mean, John Cena literally just yeah, here's your Intercontinental title match. Like that just happens in wrestling. You can lose a million matches and still get a title shot, whatever. Nikki Bella getting a title shot. People who are like up in arms, like, what did you expect? I mean, the story was pretty much laid out. I
I called
know
it. It was obvious. Like
1,000,000%. I obviously I like Nikki a lot. This is like the perfect kind of thing right now. Like it's a good name for Stephanie. Are you gonna do Stephanie versus fucking Bianca Belair right now when you have John Cena's retirement tour going on? Like,
yeah,
you're not gonna do, you're not gonna fire your best bullet with something that you have. You're putting her with a credible name. It's still like a respectable, like, all right, she, got another title defense. She has a story. She's doing something. She's on television, which is, I know that sounds crazy, but that's not always the case with all the champions. So I'm actually like, I know I'm like world's biggest Nikki Bella defender, but I actually do think from a logic standpoint for like holding Stephanie over, I think it's actually like a good idea.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's just I mean again, you mentioned a little earlier, Ilya's been the most interesting thing on SmackDown with the U.S. title. The Raw tag titles are finally relevant again, but like all the things in between John Cena, War Games, Survivor Series, Saturday's main event are just kind of like not even if they're bad, it's not even that they're bad. It's just kind of like give me the John Cena shit right now. Give me the this, give me the that. So it's tough. On topic of the woman, I got to mention this again because I did call this a couple weeks ago as well. Next week, MSG, Monday Night Raw. AJ Lee better return. Cost Becky Lynch the match. Maxine wins the IC title. Pop would be crazy. Crowd goes wild. That's a moment for MSG.
And it also is the easiest way. They will then incorporate those two into the women's war games match and it turns into 5-on-5. Because I'd be shocked if it stayed 4-on-4.
Yeah, the only other way would be if like Bailey turns on Lyra before Survivor Series fully and they split them into
Yeah.
the match. But that War Games, as you can tell, we didn't really talk about this whole podcast because it's irrelevant. So
Yeah, it's like
it's the least needed War Games they've ever run, to be honest.
it's just genuinely these aren't like when I think war games,
Blood feuds.
blood feuds.
Blood feuds.
Io and Asuka and okay, like I get that.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that, like but that's only three people. Like you're not gonna build a whole war games around that.
Yeah.
This is not like a
Lash Legend has a lot of blood feuds going on.
like Lash just showed up. Like you're
Yeah.
it just they need a break from war games. Look, I know we got CEOs talking about trying to get, trying to move on from PLE names that are under Vince, whatever. Look, man, you need to fucking focus on some of your PLEs right now that aren't needed.
On that point, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series are going
And they ain't going
anywhere. You
anywhere.
know,
Money
they
in the
ain't going
Bank,
anywhere. Yeah, you want to get rid of fucking, over the
Fastlane.
limit? They already did. All right.
Yeah,
Great Balls of Fire ain't coming back.
yeah,
So those main four or five are staying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm trying to think if they're like Cena's stuff is like I feel like I could talk hours about it,
Hmm.
but then as it goes on, like I feel like I'm just forgetting about other things that are going on. Like for instance, we had the backstage segment of AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, on the show, still kind of looking for challengers. To me, that little backstage segment, that was a nice little segue. Like, oh, I very well could see them facing two people from NXT at Saturday Night's Main Event. Granted, it's a little bit of ways away, but them just kind of buying that extra week with them and like making it know, like, all right, they're looking for some opponents, whatever. Like, all right, I could see them being in some
Well,
exhibition.
I also think to that point to add on, when you really think about those exhibition matches and John Cena and the way they're going about this, all the NXT up and coming talent, it does make sense for them to face like the vets for like Styles to get the match. I know Dragon Lee's young, but like Styles, maybe Orton gets somebody, Miz might fall in the mix, a Sheamus, like you want maybe those bigger names that are in the company to take on this up and coming young talent. I feel like that's kind of the point. I mean, like there could be some names that get sprinkled in, especially if they do a multi-person match, but I don't expect anybody coming up from NXT during those exhibitions to take on Otis and Tozawa,
I
like
don't expect them to take on like Ilya. Like Ilya's
yeah,
great,
Ilya, yeah,
but
even yeah.
like it doesn't kind of fit the bill
He was
of
just in NXT too, like
1,000,000%. If
yeah,
anything, Ilya should be like in the tournament trying to face John Cena or something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just, dude, it's just like the focus.
Mhm.
And look, anything to make Raw and SmackDown more interesting, sweet. It does kind of feel nice though that you're kind of set up, and obviously they did this on purpose, but this is going to take us into the Cena retirement show, Saturday Night's Main Event. Then we're just right into the Rumble build, and it's
Yep.
like, thank God, because we need some people chasing stuff. We need some kind of fresh stuff. There's been some more fresh stuff. Like the shows have been getting better. There has been more interesting things. Some things have definitely changed for sure, but at least like it feels like we've steadied to a path now. Like, all right, these next few weeks, Survivor Series build, but mainly the Cena tournament last time is now, then to the exhibitions of main roster and NXT, Cena's final match, then into the Rumble. We're past that, like, we got to get to Crown Jewel. We got WrestlePalooza, Crown Jewel. It's kind of muddy here and there. Like, you can see Survivor Series, but it's a couple exits away. It's just that first like warning exit, and it's like, oh, it's still 20 more miles down the road. We're now at that point where, all right, all of these shows, it actually feels like we're building towards something.
Yeah, we're pretty close to the road to WrestleMania. The Rumble starts that road. The build to the Rumble starts that road to WrestleMania, but we're on the side streets right now. We backed out of the driveway. We're driving around the neighborhood, getting to that main road right now.
Apple
So
CarPlay is up and running right now.
up and running. We're getting close to the road to WrestleMania, and that's the time of the year for wrestling. I understand WrestleMania 41 was not the greatest of WrestleManias, but it was still a lot of fun in it of itself and a lot of fun getting there. So I'm looking forward to it all.
I'm looking forward to talking about all of it. Uh, I'm not gonna see John Cena's final match live. I do have a sad engagement, whatever that I have to handle. But I'm gonna cry like a baby.
Dude, it's crazy. John Cena retiring is like, dude, that's our life right there. Like, I don't think non-wrestling fans, you can be into any sort of sport or movie or music or entertainment. It's incomparable. I don't care. I'm into those things too. So like I
Yeah.
have other things I can compare. Ozzy just passed not long ago, one of the greatest musicians of all time. Awful. Something about John Cena retiring is like that's like you ever see those memes that are like these are for men like life-changing moments, That's on the list. John Cena's retirement.
Look, I finished these podcasts saying like I can't wait to talk about this. We're gonna be here to talk about this. I'm gonna shoot it straight. I don't look forward to talking about that. I like it's That's gonna be rough.
It's
I
gonna be
I
rough.
do not look forward to it, and sadly, it is not far away.
Not far away. But I do look forward to hanging out with all the fans, C2 Wrestling, discussing all the topics with the fans of C2 Wrestling. I mostly look forward to you fucking cowards out there liking this video, subscribing to the channel, follow us on social media. In light of his return, I'm ending it with the pose.